It's a long way to the top. If you wanna rock and roll, you wanna rock and roll. Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting a bone, getting high, getting shook. Watch all your folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif. Welcome back to the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We are here from Michigan for race number 16 out of 36. It's the Home Depot 400, here from the 2-miler, not too far out of Detroit, as we take you to your starting lineup for today's race, with Braden joining me in the booth tonight. Starting from the pole, it'll be Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, with Ryan Newman in the 12, side by side with him on the front row, just a thousandth of a second between them for the pole here today. Looking down the rest of your starting grid is Kurt Busch will be in third place in the 01, and Casey Kane in fourth in the 38. Clint Boyer, a great qualifying for the 4 team. They start fifth, side by side with Brian Vickers in P6. Seventh will be Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon in P8. Kyle Busch will be in ninth, and Scott Riggs will round out the top 10 in the 57. Mark Martin will be 11th, and Jamie McMurray in 12th. Greg Biffle in P13, Robbie Gordon will be in the 14th position, Ricky Hendrick will be in 15th, and Casey Atwood in 16th place. Martin Truex Jr. will be 17th in the 8, Carl Edwards in 18th, Scott Wimmer will be in P19, and Bobby Labonte in 20th. Regan Smith P21, and Kevin Harvick in 22nd place. Todd Bodine will be in P23, Johnny Sauter 24th, Ricky Rudd P25, and Jason Leffler 26th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be in 27th, with Jeremy Mayfield in P28, Elliott Sadler will be P29, and Christian Elder in 30th. 31st place goes to Jack Sprague and Mike Bliss in 32nd. Jason Keller will be in 33rd, and Matt Kenseth 34th. John Wood makes it 3 Roush cars in a row in 35th, and Eric Norris will be in the 36th position. John Andretti P37, and Jeff Green will be in 38th. Sterling Marlin P39, and Morgan Shepherd side by side with him in 40th, and Tim Fadewa in P41, and Ron Hornaday Jr. to round out the field in the 42nd position. 42 cars as always, as we take you to the racetrack for the most famous words in motorsports that command here from Michigan.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life as we are all set to roll here on the outlap before a 60-lapper here from Michigan in the Home Depot 400. Jimmy Johnson, in this championship battle that continues to develop, he will be your leader in the start of this race from the pole, and his championship leading rival, Robbie Gordon, a little bit further back as he starts just around the outside of the top 10. Back there a couple of rows in the 31 car.
I believe this is the first time since Rockingham that Jimmy Johnson entered a race without being in the points lead.
It's been a couple of races in a row. He entered last week outside of the points lead and wasn't able to regain it this week. Looking at your point standings going into this race, it's a 78-point margin between your top two, Robbie Gordon with the championship lead, and Jimmy Johnson just a little bit of a ways off. It's been tight between these two, and as we approach the halfway in the season, I know we always talk about the championship earlier than most, but it is really starting to get to the point where you start thinking about it. These two have been the class of the field for sure, and it's going to be hard for anybody else to really throw themselves into that mix. The closest to them is third place Kurt Busch, who is going to be starting a little bit further up in third. Just behind that 48 car, he's 238 out of the championship lead. Kevin Harvick is fourth in the title standings, 312 behind, and Tony Stewart fifth, 314 out, with his teammate joining him in the top 5 in the points. Those are your main championship rivals, but it's really just between this 48 and 31 so far.
But we still have plenty of time for things to develop.
Absolutely, still over a half of the season left. Pace car going to peel off here at Michigan. Always a fast racetrack and always a lot of battles on the track. Top, bottom, side by side and everywhere, 3 and 4 wide, as we are green here to start the Home Depot 400. As we round turn 4 to finish up the opening lap, Jimmy Johnson will lead the start from the pole, just ahead of Ryan Newman in the 12 as they head towards turn 1. Everybody up to speed, well over 210 miles an hour, as is expected from this race. And we see a lot of action to start the show here tonight. 3 wide back there for third as Vickers finds himself in the middle. Kurt Busch down on the bottom. Kane slips past the both of them on the top to move up into P3. Clint Boyer and Scott Riggs holding their ground on the start of this race. And everybody fanning out down the front stretch once again. Seeing a lot of these guys take it 3 wide. We always do at this kind of racetrack. Robbie Gordon thought about maybe even going 4, trying to get underneath Kyle Busch. Couldn't get the nose down there. And it is a whole gaggle behind this 48. Casey Kane going to try to take second from Newman, who will run the outer line. 12 stays in front. Might have a run on Johnson down the front stretch. He will. Goes to the outside of the 48. Didn't lead the lap, but dead heat at the line. Has the edge ahead towards turn 1. And around the outside, Ryan Newman to the race lead.
Jimmy looks to really try and make a peak down there.
Managed to get the nose back underneath. Newman trying to lead this lap. He does. First official lead change of the race. 6 cars under a blanket up front here as speed and pack racing permeates the early going here, as it usually does at this racetrack. A racetrack as fast and as big as this. Only tracks that the draft is more important at than this place is Daytona and Talladega.
But as we know, as the run goes on, the cars will spread out a little bit. You won't have this big of a pack. It'll be you slow down more in the corners, and suddenly handling becomes a bigger issue.
But it takes a while for that to take hold, and for now it's just going to be a dogfight. Still the 48 trying to find a way around Newman on the bottom. Out of the throttle goes Johnson. Back through on the outside is Newman. Casey Kane trying to get to the outside of Johnson, who tried to block him. Might open the door for teammate Jeff Gordon to take it 3 wide. And he will 3 wide for second place in turn number 3 that time. Johnson stays in front of the both of them, at least for now.
Rather optimistic walk, I must say.
Really tried to slip up in front of Kane. Don't want to give up the top. It's the better line side by side most of the time. And you can see why, as he had a huge run there in the middle portion of 1 and 2, trying to get back to the back bumper of Newman. Kane will slot back into 3rd place. Still has the 24 pestering him on the bottom. And you see that a lot in this race here at Michigan. Guys really like to pinch down from the outside, try and keep the drivers they're side by side with way down on the bottom. There's just a little tiny bit less banking on the lower line at this racetrack, so they really just try to force you down, make sure that you don't have as much grip as they do on the outside, and it's why that outside works so well in these side-by-side battles at this place. And usually it's the line you want to be in if you're trying to make a pass. Casey Kane goes down to the bottom. Jeff Gordon looking to the outside of him. And giving a bit of draft help to his teammate as Johnson trying to take the fight back to the 12 down the front stretch here. Very close as Johnson hanging on the quarter panel of Newman, trying to get the side draft down the front.
I mean, that's just teamwork right there.
Dead heat between these 4 as they head down the back. Casey Kane thinking about taking it 3 wide on Newman as they head towards 3. And he does get the nose underneath the 12.
That'll be just enough to hand the lead to Johnson.
Johnson gets the lead. Kane gets past Newman, but Jeff Gordon going to go around the outside trying to take 2nd, last week's winner. With some prowess at these bigger racetracks so far this year. Kane not giving up on the bottom yet.
212 going into 1.
Gotta imagine that number's even faster for the drivers with a bit more draft towards this back end of this front group. Kane and Gordon still side by side for 2nd. Coming up on 10 laps completed as Casey Kane moves into P2. Made the bottom work, trying to take the run all the way to that 48 car. See Jamie McMurray joining this front group. Kyle Busch and Casey Atwood have began to move upwards as well.
215 into 1.
That's just the speed that you see at this racetrack. It is bad fast, and you can see why people love this place. Gordon and Kane still deadlocked in this fight for 2nd. Ryan Newman, Robbie Gordon right behind as well. Two Hendrick boys out front as Gordon moves back into P2. Robbie Gordon looking to make a run up towards the front end of the field as this run continues forwards. He's side by side with Kane for 3rd as they head down the back. Kevin Harvick, a big mover early, as he's also joined this top 10. See him in the back of the frame. Here comes Jeff Gordon on his teammate for the race lead down the front stretch. 2 by 2 as they head into turn 1. Gordon with the nose ahead, trying to get clear before they get to the corner exit. Couldn't do it. Johnson with the run on the outside. Gordon trying to hang with him into turn 3, and he will, at least for the moment. And had a pretty monster run out of turn 4 that time as well. And he does have the dice on the lap lead, first lap lead for this 24. And he will clear his teammate into turn 1. Robbie Gordon with a run on the 24 into turn 3 this time. Now he tries to challenge for the lead. Couldn't keep the nose underneath. Gordon stays clear of him as they get out of the corner that time. Gordon trying to block Kane all the way to the outside. Ran him up the road. 38 runs up on the top of 3 wide as Casey Atwood will benefit. Johnson stuck in the middle. Managed to get out of it. Kane really couldn't find any grip. 4 wide leaving turn 2. Newman and Kyle Busch trade some paint as they leave the corner.
And Kurt, rather intelligently, backs out of that.
Veteran move from the 01. Newman slips past the 38 and 43. Though Kane had a second wind coming out of the corner. Kevin Harvick with a big run down the front stretch. As that mix begins to settle down. Robbie Gordon and Jimmy Johnson still deadlocked for second. Gordon trying to block the 48 and does. And once again, we'll try for the lead into turn 3. Side by side as they leave the corner this time. Johnson giving some draft help to his teammate round the top. McMurray follows the 31 on the bottom. 3
Just
wide
about
behind them.
pushing Jeff Gordon throughout the front spread.
Gave him a lot of help. And it worked out as Gordon stays in the lead. Might even get Johnson back to second as he's working on trying to clear Gordon into turn 3. Couldn't get past Robbie as he at least hangs it down there for now. Kept the nose tight and got back past him. Now going to challenge his teammate for first now that they're out in front of everybody else. Couldn't stay with him into turn 1 that time. But has the run out of 2. Looking top, looking bottom. But instead, Robbie Gordon will get underneath the 48. Again, this 31 trying to work that bottom. Stuck it that time, trying to stay with the 48 and 24. Gets all the way up to Jeff Gordon's back bumper. And he's side by side for the lead again. At the line, had the lead. Just a couple of thousandths between him and Jeff Gordon for first. Trying to challenge on the outside. Newman on the bottom, Gordon on the top.
He clears him.
Managed to stay in front of the 24. And we see those lap times continuing to falter, dipping into the 36s now when best lap times were in the high 34s. Ryan Newman just kind of left the 31 in the dust there, and now he's got the lead. As this race continues to wind on, we will be taking a third of the race completed, this time by 20 laps down the barrel and 40 to go as we see our first pit stops of the race and more coming in. Robbie Gordon will lead the first major group. Johnson, Harvick, McMurray, and others a part of it. Handful more stay out. Trying to split this race into thirds. And of course, pit entry at this track is pretty difficult with how fast you're going, so it's just a matter of trying to stay off everybody, make no contact. Edwards is very close to the back bumper of Kurt Busch there. Newman leads everybody in as Boyer and Martin stay out. The 28 will lead this lap. Another driver to stay out with them was Sauter in the 68 machine. Four tires and fuel for everybody here. As this group of 3 will be pitting in this time.
Thinking maybe we have some people having trouble making it the distance if this thing goes green.
We will see, but the majority of the field looks right on target. Mark Martin will lead the field into the pits. Or at least this field of 3. The final group in. Just past that third mark. 22 coming to 23 for these drivers. And the matter now falls on who comes out with the net race lead. Jimmy Johnson is well behind the 31, if I am not mistaken. That is correct. And Robbie Gordon, who has been on quite a hot streak as of late, he'll have the lead. And by a pretty wide margin, too. Jimmy Johnson will take net second. Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman side by side for third, as a 20 will move past him as well. Newman down to fourth, and Jeff Gordon, at least for the moment, rounds out the top 5. Talk about some good pit stops. 33 of Ricky Rudd, as well as a 96 of Jeff Green, really nailed theirs. And are right around the top 10 thanks to those pit stops. See Mark Martin merging from the pits right with his teammates.
Almost wrecking this team.
Not giving him a whole lot of room, trying to get some extra draft help, and Martin rejoins right with his 2 Yates teammates. Battle for second between Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick on the racetrack right now. And Johnson will stay in front of the 20 thanks to that monster run out of turn 2. Ryan Newman comfortably settles into 4th place. Jamie McMurray just took away 5th from Jeff Gordon that last time by. 3-car group with him, Gordon and Atwood, 5th through 7th. Pack further back includes Kyle Busch, Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart, Todd Bodine, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Green, and Casey Kane from 8th through 14th place. That seems to be the rest of the mix that are potentially within a shot of winning the race at the moment. Kevin Harvick still trying to pass Johnson for second. And still no dice for that 20. But all 3 of these guys catching up to the race leader, Robbie Gordon, right now.
But now the question really becomes, how much do tires matter? How much would you prefer having fresh tires?
If anything, I'd say going longer, both for the tires, given how easy it is to pass at this track at times, especially if you're just that little bit faster, and on top of the fact that fuel's so tight at a race like this, it's right down the margin when you come down pit road. So I'd say the fresh tires are going to matter, but not for the reason you'd think. It'd be more about the fuel coming in the pits. But these guys are
the last thing you want is come lap 58, lap 59, your car's sputtering when you're in the lead.
Without a question, and we've seen that a couple times this year. And of course, these guys who pit in a little earlier, Robbie Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, were a couple of those drivers. I believe Newman and Harvick also, that were in the first group that were right on 30 coming to lap 31. So you're really cutting it close. It depends how long you can stretch this second run. If you can get it to 41, 42, you're probably plenty good. But that all remains to be seen.
You're seeing people coming in at 39, 38, 39, 40.
You start to run into a bit of trouble there for sure. 2 championship leaders, 1-2, as Johnson is still trying to find a way around this 31 car. All these top 4 are still in gridlock at the moment, as Robbie Gordon continues to sit out front and lead laps, but not without the 48 breathing down his neck. Johnson going to make another effort here down the front stretch with a bigger run than last time. Hangs with the 31 as they head towards turn 1. Johnson couldn't quite stay in the throttle. Harvick trying to get to his outside. Johnson slams the door. Harvick cuts him right back across down to the bottom side this time. Big corner entry by Harvick there. Johnson trying to build the run on Robbie Gordon around the outside, leaving turn 4. Can't get there. Gordon gives the draft to his ex-teammate. And Harvick will pass Johnson for P2. Down the back stretches, Jamie McMurray from 5th is looking to join this mix up front. As a draft of this top group, Johnson right on the back bumper of Kevin Harvick there. He jumps to the outside. Still nothing working for him there.
Pretty sure Johnson would just rather see someone that isn't the 31 in the lead at this point.
I would agree with that statement. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the move, as he's been picking up some spots on the longer run here, battling with Kyle Busch for what is P7 at the moment. 88 continuing his solid runs throughout the year, and definitely has a quick car under his feet right now. Second place, still a fight. Johnson trying to take the lead again. Harvick thinking about going up the middle of 3 wide, couldn't find the opening. Instead, sits on the back bumper of Robbie Gordon, who gave him the draft to get him through into second earlier. Repays the favor as he keeps the 31 in the lead and will now try to take the lead himself. But Robbie Gordon a lot better on the entry that time, but Harvick has the middle speed and on corner exit. Big run for the 20. Kevin Harvick trying to take away the lead. He has it at the line. And he will clear Robbie Gordon into turn 1. Excellent move by the 20 there, setting up the 31 for exit. Really slowed it up on corner entry, trying to get the exit speed. And it worked out for him perfectly as he takes away that first position. Now, as Johnson closes back up to the back bumper of Robbie Gordon, trying to go to the outside of the 31 again. Robbie Gordon will try to go to the bottom for the lead now. Down into turn 1, side by side for first. Gordon trying to stay in the throttle out of the corner. Can't clear the 20. Johnson, no, he got him there. Second guess as Harvick couldn't quite stay in the gas, and Robbie Gordon retakes his lead. Johnson trying to take second, might even try to get the lead. Stayed with him on corner exit as they go down the front stretch. Harvick
But
again.
he has no help on draft.
Harvick again pushing on the back bumper of the 31. Newman tried to get to the 48, couldn't do it. Now he's there in the mid-corner. What a run for Newman in the middle. 2 by 2 as they leave turn 2. Dead heat for the lead. Harvick clears Newman. Might even try to take it 3 into turn 3 here. And he does. Got all the way to the back of the 31. But can't get the nose under him, at least not the first half of the front stretch. Newman moves into third. Bigger pack behind this top 4, led by Kyle Busch right now. That's a 6-car group behind this top 4. And this
But
really
he's starting to get really close to pit stops here.
It's coming up for sure. And this mid-summer, or early summer stretch, it should be said, for Robbie Gordon, it's been absolutely perfect so far. Just missing that win that he has been so close to so many weeks. Had back-to-back second-place finishes, now dominating the showing in this one in the middle portion. But the question is if he can close it out. He's pulled away from the rest of the top 4 now. And Harvick with a lot more speed down the backstretch in the draft of the 31, trying to close that gap once more.
And that second group is caught.
And it goes from top 4 to top 10, including Casey Atwood. Might be 11 if Stewart can hang with this pack. McMurray into the mix. Last car in the top 5. Gordon way loose there out of the corner that time. Newman couldn't get to him. Almost did, but had to jump out of line to not hit the 31. And the question is, with Robbie Gordon leading so many laps consecutively, he's definitely burning more fuel being up there. So is it going to compromise his strategy? We will see. Lap number 40, it'll be 2/3 of the way through this next time. So if you make the pit stop this time, it should be fine, but it'll be close. Battle for the lead. McMurray got under him for a moment, couldn't stay there. Does he have a second breath into 3? He does not. But got to him in the middle portion. Has a little bit of draft help from Harvick, trying to get all the way down the racetrack. Use as much of the track as he can. 20 laps to go, and everybody's still on the racetrack. So I think fuel's going to be out of the question here. Harvick trying to split it 3 wide up the middle. Newman to P2. Huge run on Robbie Gordon. Trying to get to the outside. Gordon, can he shut the door? Not quite. But he is going to pit in this time, so Newman will take the race lead. And Johnson, a masterful move, got in front of the 31 on pit entry there, went around the outside. Will gain him a lot of time on the racetrack with that move on pit entry.
Very risky pit entry, I must say.
Without a question, and also held up the rest of this top 5 that have stayed out. Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. all got held up by the 48, who had to slow up, had his hand out the window. Kind of just got caught in a bad spot, but it ended up working out for him and screwing everybody else over instead. Newman will lead this next group into the pits as Kyle Busch and Casey Kane stay out. So Ryan Newman, the net race leader at the moment. We'll see if Johnson beats him out. Long ride down pit road at this racetrack. Looking for the pit stall and will finally find it. Four tires and fuel for the 12. And Kyle Busch in. Drivers who stayed out the extra time last time will not go for another round this time, although the 4 car does. Clint Boyer, the only driver still on the racetrack, going to take a lap lead.
And the contingency check that comes with it.
Pretty cool to see for that 4 team, as Clint Boyer will lead that lap. I believe that is the first time they've led any laps this season since Daytona.
I believe that's also Clint Boyer's first ever NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series lap led.
Congratulations to the 4 car. Meanwhile, let's get our focus back on the battle for the lead out of the pits as Jimmy Johnson, as we talked about that pit entry, he's got the lead now. Net first for the 48 with that risky pit entry. It worked out for him masterfully, and he will now comfortably have first place. But the draft still working in the favor of Robbie Gordon, who is chasing down his championship rival inside the final 20 laps of this race. Top 5 at the line, 48, 31, 12, 20. And then 5th place will be the Dale Earnhardt Jr. 88 machine as he sits in 5th ahead of Atwood and Jeff Gordon. Looking like it'll be these 8, I believe it is. No, 7. For the race win.
Lose that slap traffic up ahead.
That'd be the 37 of Tim Fadua. Let's see where Clint Boyer leads the pits. Would like to get a checkup on him. Looking like around the back end of the top 30 here. I believe that's 26th as Regan Smith in the 2 gets past him. Got Mike Bliss back there as well as Martin Truex Jr. So the battle for the win is on. Robbie Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, the 2 championship leaders, are going to duke it out right now. Lap car of Fadua up the road, going to give some draft help to the 48, trying to stay in front of Robbie with just 15 laps to go. Two dominant cars have also been the championship leaders. Johnson and Gordon have easily both led the most laps in today's race. And it's just a matter of which one of them can close it out. Unless we get the rest of third on back joining in on this battle, with the draft help that Newman might be about to get, we might see. But the laps are running out. Johnson running away from Robbie Gordon thanks to the help of the 37. Johnson will move to the outside of Fadua here in turn 4.
And Fadua's going to block him.
Didn't think he realized that he was going to go to the outside, but Johnson will move to the top. And Johnson puts a lap car between him and Robbie Gordon as the 31 now has to contend with this 37 Dodge. And he will look low in turn 3. Fadua, not going to be easy pickings for this 31, but he will stay with him on corner exit. Got the run, has the draft from Johnson. And he'll get back in front of that lap car to focus his efforts on Jimmy Johnson for the race win. I believe that might have been contact there between Atwood and Gordon, and it was. As Atwood trying to cut the nose off the 24 with Gordon right on his back bumper. They held on to it, but lost a lot of time. Good save by the 30 there with the 24 up the behind of his race car. Junior, Harvick, Newman all trying to join this mix, but Jimmy Johnson is trying to check out right now. Robbie Gordon doing everything he can to try to pull the 48 back towards him. Ryan Newman trying to get around Tim Fadua, the lap car. Got a little out of groove there and lost a lot of time. At the line, 10 laps to go for the 48.
It's just been the story of Robbie Gordon's season so far.
Would be his 3rd runner-up finish in 4 races. If he can't get to this 48, but he's got a monster run down the back, handful of miles an hour faster, trying to run him back down. And he has closed that gap. Junior and Newman fighting for 3rd in the background, but Robbie Gordon has his sights set on the 48 for the lead with 9 laps to go. Johnson looking for what would be his 4th win this season. Gordon his 3rd. Junior trying to get around the lap car Fadua. And hoping he has enough time to catch up and duel for this win that has eluded him so far this season. Robbie Gordon on the bottom for the race lead.
These two guys cannot stay side by side for too long, because the longer they stay side by side, they went into that corner at 209.
Probably was around 215 or maybe 212 for this 88, who is closing the gap to the 2 race leaders. Gordon unable to stay in the throttle the way he wanted out of turn 4 that time. Johnson pulls the gap back. But Earnhardt Jr., Harvick, and others are joining this picture. But the question is, do any of them have anything for this 48, who is now running away with the race lead? Better corner for Robbie Gordon that time. Harvick and Earnhardt Jr. side by side for third in the background. Here comes Robbie Gordon with a huge run into turn one that time. Couldn't get all the way to him though. Harvick closing in from P3. It is going to be a 6-horse race for this win. Harvick to the back bumper of Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon blocks him out of turn 4. 20 all the way down the racetrack trying to get under him, and he did. Side by side for second with 5 laps left. And Harvick slings straight past the 31. Gordon with a run out of turn 2 trying to counterattack as they leave the corner. Harvick gets second. Robbie Gordon to the bottom, all fighting behind Johnson, as everybody's trying to get first dibs at this 48. Here comes Harvick out of turn 4. To the outside goes the 20 as they take 4 laps to go.
Doesn't quite have the pace to make the move.
Robbie Gordon underneath for second into turn 1 that time. Harvick with a huge run out of the corner, and he gets to the outside of Jimmy Johnson. Problems for the 12 of Newman, who has a tire down. And that will be a caution flag, which I believe will end the race. Back to the line, Harvick has the lead. And that caution will end the race. And Kevin Harvick, who had been looking for his first Gibbs win for so long, believe he will finally have it under the belt. And Ryan Newman with a tire down to bring out the final caution that will end this race. Saw him get in the way of Kyle Busch and others there. A dangerous spot for Newman to have his tire go out.
I believe that won't be the final caution. It will be the only caution.
Tough break for Newman, who ran so well during the course of this race. And that will conclude it, as Kevin Harvick just has to complete this final lap here to finish out what will be his first win of this season after such a tight battle for the win. Timed it perfectly right as the 12 blew that tire. An unfortunate way to end what would have been a great battle for the win. But this 20 team, who has been really widely considered the most consistent driver of this season, just hadn't been able to close out a victory. And just a mile left for him to conclude his first win of this 2006 season, as he manages to beat out the 48 and 31, the two dominant cars of the day. Earnhardt Jr. in the 80 will come home in 4th place here. And Jeff Gordon in the 24 will round out your top 5. 6 goes to Casey Atwood. 7th will be Casey Kane. Kyle Busch into 8th. And Jamie McMurray and Tony Stewart, two Ganassi teammates, will round out the top 10. Just that tough break for Ryan Newman, who spent so much of the day in the top 5. But it's a story of triumph for Kevin Harvick as he rounds turn number 4. Not the way the closer would expect to win a race, but he did definitely close it out with the late charge to the lead, and Kevin Harvick his first win of 2006 as he takes it across the line to win it here at Michigan. And blowing up across the line is the 68 of Sauter, who will still hold on to finish in 14th after his engine just gave up coming across the line. And 81 of Mike Bliss also reported a fuel pressure drop under that caution, so things coming apart for these guys at the end of this race, but that will conclude it here from Michigan as Kevin Harvick, first race ended under yellow in a while. And that is my phone ringing as the race concludes. But that will do it for coverage here from Michigan as Kevin Harvick will win it, as we mentioned, his first of this season. And, of course, the closer in what better fashion but to steal one late here tonight as he wins over the two dominant cars of Johnson and Robbie Gordon. But next week, it'll be race number 17 as the Cup Series Garage will head onwards to Daytona. It'll be the Firecracker 400, one of the most widely anticipated races of the season. But all of that yet to come in race number 17. I'm Caden Reif on behalf of Braden joining me in the booth tonight. We'll see you then. It's been a pleasure to have you along as always, and have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.